The Tampa Bay Buccaneers get a little help with their salary cap issues with the announcement of the 2023 cap limit. And how could drama in Green Bay impact the Bucs' future? Let's go.
You are Locked On Buccaneers, your daily Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome to the Locked On Bucs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We are your daily podcast covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. And we thank you for making us your first listen or view of the day. I am James Yarcho, deputy editor of SB Nation's BucsNation.com, joined by my successfully well-traveled co-host, Mr. David Harrison. You can check out his work over at Sports Illustrated's BucsGameDay.com. And of course, you can follow everything on Twitter at Locked On Bucs, at JArco_Bucs, and at DHarrison82.
Today's episode of Locked On Bucs brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of the National Football League. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. And we thank you again for making the Locked On Bucs podcast first listener, first view every single day. James, we've got the Senior Bowl coming up. Plenty of stuff coming from here in Mobile, Alabama, where we've got an all-star cast, which unfortunately is why you're not here, because you are the snub of the Senior Bowl, my friend. But dropping the day before we start practices, the NFL announcing the official 2023 salary cap. Well, the report is that the teams have been told the 2023 salary cap will be $224.8 million. A $16.6 million increase over last season, which is great news because that's a very nice increase. But where fans are going to get a little bit less excited is if you go to Spot Track, if you go to Over the Cap, that's the number they've been operating with anyway. So the number of projections you've been dealing with are pretty much the same. You're not going to get like this massive increase just because this news came out. So you are still in a little bit of a similar situation as you were before the news came out. Buccaneers currently projected to be $55 million over the salary cap. That is according to Spot Track. The two sites are a little bit different from time to time, but generally around the same area. The increase will certainly help as the Buccaneers begin this long process of restructuring, releasing, shifting, bonuses and doing all these things that they do, this financial judo that these teams do to try and free up some money, account for some salaries, and remain competitive, especially if Tom Brady returns, but also especially because you have to remember the NFC South, arguably the weakest division in the National Football League this past season.
Yeah, it's kind of a toss-up between the two South divisions, right? The AFC South, not so great either. Yeah. But, of course, for the Buccaneers, the biggest domino.
The AFC South has sunshine, and don't sleep on sunshine.
Yeah.
Listen, men with long blonde hair are very talented.
Oh, geez.
Shout out to Brandon Olson, Locked On Gators host, who's sitting right over there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look up Locked On Gators on YouTube. You'll figure it out.
The fact that Brandon is overhearing this episode be recorded is why we should have discussed why Anthony Richardson would be a terrible pick for the Buccaneers just to watch his face turn bright red.
Sean King had some interesting things to say about Anthony Richardson. I shared those with Brandon, and we currently have an interview request in for Sean King to appear on Locked On Gators. So stay tuned on that front.
That's not going to go well. Well, of course, the biggest domino to fall for the Buccaneers is the decision that Tom Brady will be making. He has a $35 million dead cap number for 2023 if he signs elsewhere. Now, according to Greg Allman of Fox Sports, the Bucs can move 24 of that $35 million to 2024 if Brady retires. But given the problems that the San Francisco 49ers are now facing with Brock Purdy's completely torn UCL, Trey Lance having gotten injured and still is kind of a question mark, and then evil Jimmy Garoppolo, who was smiling at the 49ers misfortune on the sideline during the NFC Championship, about to become a free agent. The Niners are clearly a quarterback away from contending for a Super Bowl, and the going home narrative will be a very loud, very overplayed storyline that will be discussed over the coming weeks or until Brady makes a decision about his future either way. Still think honestly, actually, I can't say that I still think the Bucs are his best opportunity to win. If he goes to San Francisco, they are a better football team, a better constructed roster, top to bottom, right this moment than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are. But then you start to get into all the behind the scenes stuff. He would have to learn a new offense and all those things. Is he going to want to have to do that? Move all the way to the West Coast? It's possible. And those rumors are going to begin to heat up quite a bit in the coming days.
Yeah, absolutely. And as they should. I mean, it's a factor. You know what I mean? Tom Brady, growing up a fan of Joe Montana and the 49ers, always envisioned himself playing football there someday, dreamed of that as a child and as a youth. And then, I guarantee there were moments, sitting there on the bench at Michigan, where he dreamed of not being on the bench with the San Francisco 49ers. But yeah, so it's certainly gonna be a thing. But listen, I think it's important to understand that everybody needs to remember, right, that last offseason with a lesser salary cap, the New Orleans Saints started the offseason with like negative $174 million in cap space. And then not only did they free up a whole bunch of cap space with all this financial judo that these teams do, but then they signed Tyrann Mathieu. You know what I mean? Like off the streets to join their defense. Oh, by the way. So, there is no panic button that needs to be hit. The salary cap, it's make believe. We say it all the time. We reference Wolf of Wall Street and all that stuff. It's pretend, and that's great. And then to a certain extent, it really is, but also to a certain extent, it is a real thing. But the New Orleans Saints, kicking the can down the road, so to speak, for a decade plus is not. It's not something that can't be replicated. And Mike Greenberg and Jason Light and that entire front office that's out. They know all the tricks that the Saints know. Like, there's no proprietary financial algorithms that the New Orleans Saints are using there. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. The moves that they do want to make, they will be able to make based off of everything that they need to do. What's important to remember too is that because if Tom Brady comes back, the rumors are starting to pile up. And this is going to be another storyline that we talk about going through the season, that Rob Gronkowski is interested in coming back in 2023, and he's going to want to play with Tommy. So where Tommy goes, Gronk goes. Gronk almost went where Tommy was in 2022. Honestly, I think he saw the writing on the wall and said, no, I'm all right. I'm going to hang out with Coach Payton. We're going to make some money over here, be healthy. I'll come back next year when the situation is better. I'm just going to put it that way so it can be nice.
So David Harrison confirms that because George Kittle plays for the 49ers, Gronk would not play for the 49ers, or Tom Brady will not play for the 49ers. Tom Brady back to the Bucs confirmed.
I will tell you right now that George Kittle being with the 49ers would actually make Gronk want to play more for the 49ers. Because he would love it. Like, you're going to pay me a whole lot of money. I'm only going to have to play 70% of the snaps maybe that I usually do. I get to play with Tom, and George gets to do all the heavy lifting. So, I mean, where do I sign up?
George Kittle and Rob Gronkowski is the buddy cop movie that we didn't know that we needed until right at this very moment. But, David, on the flip side, the 49ers could have interest in another homecoming story if Adam Schefter's report regarding Aaron Rodgers is true. We're going to break that down coming up for you in just a moment right here on Locked On Bucs. This episode of Locked On Bucs is brought to you in part by Blue Nile. Valentine's Day is coming up, which means romance is in the air more than usual. I don't need to tell all of you lovebirds that you've probably had date plans on the calendar for weeks, maybe months. But have you found the perfect Valentine's Day gift yet? Whether you're celebrating this day of romance or whether you are ready to pop the question, you can find jewelry as unique as she is with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. At BlueNile.com, you can find the perfect piece of jewelry for life's special moments or create the custom engagement ring of her dreams. Their simple online tools let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as the setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft that perfect piece to your specifications. Blue Nile provides expert guidance, in-depth educational materials, and unique online tools that place you in control, so you can forget the usual hassles of the jewelry shopping process and focus on the romance. Blue Nile's diamond price guarantee allows you to compare a competitor's diamond against one of theirs. Blue Nile can even meet or beat their price. Every order is insured and arrives quickly in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shipping is free. and so are returns. Right now, you can save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com for up to 50% off. BlueNile.com.
Locked On is at the Senior Bowl. Get inside analysis from the hosts that covered the NFL's next generation in college and find out which NFL draft boards these players will be climbing all in one location. Subscribe to Locked On NFL Draft for nightly live shows from the Senior Bowl on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Those live episodes will also be dropping here on the Locked On Bucs feed as well at some point. But if you want to catch it as it's happening live, you can do so on the Locked On NFL Draft channel. James, Tom Brady is not the only person potentially being impacted by news today. Aaron Rodgers, reportedly, according to Adam Schefter of ESPN, is on his way out of Green Bay. And let's break down the Schefter report. You can read the whole thing at ESPN.com. But basically, the crux of it is that the lead sources are being told that the Green Bay Packers are interested in moving Aaron Rodgers. Like, they want him gone. That's a nice way of saying they are done with Aaron Rodgers. They're ready for whatever next era comes their way. Aaron Rodgers era needs to come to an end. Aaron Rodgers recently said on the Pat McAfee show, I'm not sure if you've heard of Pat McAfee. It's a pretty good show. You should check it out sometime. That he is open, that he is open to dialogue, open to honesty, open to discussion, but also will not take it personally, will not get his feelings hurt or play the victim, which I think is important if the Green Bay Packers do decide to move on, or if he and the Packers together, mutual, whatever, how they do things. It's Valentine's Day. We know how this goes. So that means that Aaron Rodgers may be on the market. And last year, the rumor was that Aaron Rodgers might be on the market, but this year, Aaron Rodgers really might be on the market. Does this surprise you that the Green Bay Packers might be cruising for another, I don't say like nasty divorce from another franchise quarterback, but I mean, it's not exactly, like there's nobody walking away into the sunset as a hero if this is the way this goes down.
Yeah, it's certainly not as ugly as the Brett Favre breakup was. And it's eerie how similar the trajectory of Favre and Rodgers' careers are. I actually just finished listening to a biography about Brett Favre, and listening to the way he treated Aaron Rodgers and the disdain that Aaron Rodgers had for somebody like Brett Favre, and kind of how they worked with one another is eerily similar to the way Aaron Rodgers has been over the past couple of years in Green Bay. It's almost like he turned into Brett Favre, the one guy that he swore to destroy or just swore that he would never become. So none of this really surprises me at the end of the day. The seed was planted last year, and instead of Rodgers moving, it was Devontae Adams that moved, right? And Rodgers signed this huge, mega, massive extension, and that's going to be tough to move for the Green Bay Packers. It may end up being a situation where they're still going to have to eat a lot of that money to facilitate a deal if they truly want to move on from Aaron Rodgers and give Jordan Love the keys to the castle and see what they have in him. Maybe they're going to strike gold again, but you're talking about a franchise now that has 31 consecutive years of Hall of Fame quarterback play with 3 Super Bowl appearances and 2 championships to show for it. 1 championship in the 90s, one right there, I believe it was 2010, right? That Aaron Rodgers won his and never made it back. So I'm not surprised by the report. I was a little bit intrigued at the timing of the report.
I mean, I think the timing of the report shows that both sides are essentially just looking to get this thing done. Like, I don't think the Green Bay Packers put this out without Aaron Rodgers kind of understanding that this is about to go out, unless they're essentially on the same page and that they're looking to get this thing done sooner rather than later. Now, why does this impact the Buccaneers? Well, because the Buccaneers might be on the look out there for a quarterback. Could it be Aaron Rodgers? So let's go up. First things up front. Aaron Rodgers is the name. Like, we've talked about this before on this show in previous years of when Tom Brady retires, what is the route that the Buccaneers go? And the route that's been talked about a lot is going for Aaron Rodgers, either trading for him from the Green Bay Packers or signing him if he is indeed a free agent. So now it looks like that opportunity might actually come. The problem here, obviously, is that if Brady is not with the Buccaneers, there's that huge dead cap number. Even though they can move some, you're still looking at, I think according to Almond's report, you're still looking at 11 million, and then you have to tack that 11 million on top of Aaron Rodgers' number. But Aaron Rodgers saying that he is willing, or reportedly is willing, to restructure his current deal, maybe tack on a couple of void years to get some more money, stuff like that. So that actually makes this deal a little bit more workable. So essentially, you could be looking at paying Aaron Rodgers about the same you're paying Tom Brady. I'll ask you this, James, as far as the Buccaneers fit is concerned, who is the better quarterback right now for this Buccaneers team in your mind, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady?
It's still Tom Brady. And
Explain yourself.
It's because of the fact that these guys have all been together for a couple of years now. They're all familiar with one another. That's not me taking a shot at Aaron Rodgers by any means, but you're looking at a similar situation between the two guys already, right? You don't know how much longer Aaron Rodgers has in the NFL. I do not see him being a Tom Brady where he's playing into his mid 40s. Aaron Rodgers might have 2 or 3 years left. Tom Brady, probably 1, maybe 2 years left. So why would you want to, if you have the choice between the two, why do you want to shake up everything that has already been a constant for the last 3 years in Tampa and, shake up that offense and bring in a guy with a completely different style, a completely different mentality, who's going to have to get to know all the players, is going to have to build and develop the chemistry with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Cade Otton and Russell Gage and
everybody,
Rashad White and all those guys, when you already have that guy in-house and you can potentially bring him back. Now, obviously, if Tom Brady says, you know what, Tampa, I love you. I love the Glazer family. I love the Buccaneers fans. I love this city. I'm going to live here when I finally retire, but I'm going to San Francisco to fulfill my lifelong dream of being the quarterback for the 49ers. I'm not going to sit here and say that Aaron Rodgers doesn't keep the Buccaneers in contention for a championship out of the NFC. So a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, I guess is the best way to put it, because you know what you already have in Brady. You don't want to go through that whole process over again for what could potentially only be 2 or 3 years.
Right. And here's what I'll say about this. If you entertain this conversation with the Green Bay Packers, you're going to lose Tom Brady. So if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, whether you think anybody out there thinks that Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady is the better quarterback, if you entertain conversations with the Green Bay Packers and that gets out, which these things get out, Tom Brady will leave, will 100% leave. That will throw him out the door. And if you lose Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers is about as much of a wild card as it gets these days. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Go watch the Pat McAfee show. Aaron Rodgers is a little bit of a wild card. You don't know what you're getting with Aaron Rodgers, or if you're even going to get Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers can honestly just be like, you know what? I've got enough money. AJ, move over. I'm joining you guys. I retire. And now you don't have Tom and you don't have Aaron. And all you got left is Kyle. And no disrespect to our Gators fans. Kyle ain't Aaron and Kyle ain't Tom. Okay. So he's the number 2 option for a reason. And it ain't because it's not doo-doo. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't, that was for Brandon Olson's benefit, by the way. If Aaron Rodgers does not go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then who does he go to? Give me one team and 2 sentences on why he would go to that team.
The New York Jets for a year before going to the Vikings, because Brett Favre.
All right. And my team is the New York Jets, because they just hired Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
And and again, Aaron Rodgers cannot beat Tom Brady. So who can he beat? He can beat Brett Favre. How? By taking the Jets further than any other former Packers quarterback has ever gone before. And that's exactly what I think is going to actually happen. I think I think Aaron Rodgers ends up with the New York Jets.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. Outside of the Jets, though, the Tennessee Titans to me could be a really interesting and intriguing team that would make a lot of sense. But if Aaron Rodgers is changing teams and it's not to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what is the impact on the Buccaneers, regardless of where Aaron Rodgers goes? We tell you coming up next on Locked On Bucs. This episode of Locked On Bucs is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they are the #1 sportsbook in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that is even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel now so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. I was so close on my parlay that I gave you guys on Friday's episode for the Bengals Chiefs game. We're gonna have fun with the Super Bowl. We really, really are. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/locked-on to claim your no sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Wrapping things up here on a interesting edition of the Locked On Bucs podcast, talking about Aaron Rodgers, talking about Tom Brady, talking about all of the potential and inevitable changes coming for the National Football League, but also the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, David, let me swing this back over to you. The Aaron Rodgers movement here, if he goes to the New York Jets, if he goes to the San Francisco 49ers, if he goes to the Titans, if he goes to the Raiders and reunites with Devontae Adams, what is that going to do for Tom Brady in the decision that he has to make as to where he's going and what he's doing? I mean, is he going to sit back and be, I'm Tom Brady, what I do is what I do, and Aaron Rodgers has no impact on my decision? Or is there going to be a little bit of a crossroads where these two players might end up almost competing for the same spot?
So they're not going to compete for the same spot because one player is being traded, the other player is being signed as a free agent. And while everybody would like to sit here and say, well, legal tampering doesn't start yet, legal tampering has already started. Don't fool yourself. Okay?
It's happening right there in Mobile.
Right. These conversations are already happening. And I think if you're the New York Jets or you're the Las Vegas Raiders or the San Francisco 49ers, you are one of the three teams that Aaron Rodgers wants to go to. The New York Jets have Nathaniel Hackett. The Las Vegas Raiders have Devontae Adams. The San Francisco 49ers have the fact that they're Aaron Rodgers' favorite team. And they have a Super Bowl ready roster that just needs a quarterback that can drive the vehicle and not injure his elbow. And that is not a shot in any way, shape, or form against Brock Purdy, but Aaron Rodgers has been escaping danger for a long, long time for a reason. So in light of that, the way that I look at this is, of those three teams, which ones are Tom Brady actually most likely to go to? And I go back to when he left New England and came to Tampa in the first place. What is Tom looking for? Step number one, Tom is looking to win. Step number two, Tom is looking to win with a team that doesn't rely on just him to be that winner. And that's part of the reason why I think playing this season wasn't as fun as it was, because while he set a record, another NFL record, that NFL record said the Buccaneers basically needed Tom Brady to win anything. And that didn't work out very well because they also couldn't protect him in the process. I get the Josh McDaniels thing, but if they were really that fixated on working together, I think you would have had some traction or some conversations about Josh McDaniels being hired somewhere for Tom Brady to go then sign with or be traded to. We've heard none of that. So then you look at someone like Sean Payton. Well, Sean Payton right now looks like Arizona or Denver. Neither of those teams is even a Tom Brady away from being a legitimate contender. So to me, I'm actually starting to kind of peel away from the Sean Payton angle. So to me, the real situation here is that Tom Brady either wants to stay on the east side, in the Eastern time zone, or he wants to go to San Francisco to play for his favorite team. The only two teams I see him wanting to play for in the Eastern time zone are the New York Jets and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't even put the Titans on that list, to be quite honest with you, because outside of Mike Vrabel, they have a good defense, but if the Buccaneers defense, Titans defense are both healthy, which one's better? it's arguable. You can negotiate either side. Offensively,
Yeah.
the Tennessee Titans are very run heavy, granted, but if they need Tom Brady to push the ball down the field, who are they going to push the ball to? Traylon Burks? Okay. Maybe a draft pick who may or may not be a first-year impact player, right? So to me, the Buccaneers win out in that situation, and the Jets are the only ones that really have a competitor, and then you have the Niners. So two of the three options are also in the hunt for Aaron Rodgers, as far as I'm concerned, which means wherever Aaron goes, cuts Tom Brady's, I don't want to say options, but the likely landing spots down to two. So for the Buccaneers, again, you just sit back, you wait for Tom, you don't mess up what you have already. You let the Packers and Aaron Rodgers figure out what they're going to figure out. If anything, and call the Packers and say, hey, just so you know, before you even ask, we're not interested. Hey, Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, sources tell you Bucs aren't interested in Aaron Rodgers. Make sure you put that out there to let Tom know we're good. Aaron goes where he goes, and then it's up to Tom. Do you want to stay on the East Coast and go to a team that has a solid defense, good weapons, aggressive coach, and a couple moves away from maybe being a contender in the AFC, or do you want to stay in Tampa? My money, your best shot is still in Tampa, to be completely honest with you. So if all that math is correct, then what I'm basically getting to is it's either Tampa or San Francisco for Tom Brady, based off of what Aaron Rodgers does. So if you're a Bucs fan and you want Tom back, you need to go do an Aaron Rodgers to San Francisco dance. I don't know what that looks like, but go do it.
Well, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Brady domino falls before the Rodgers domino, because for what you said exactly, one guy's a free agent and can go wherever he wants to go. The other one, you have to facilitate a trade, and it's going to be a very complex trade based on the compensation package that the team is getting back, not to mention having to work with Tom Brady, or not Tom Brady. Oh, man, so many quarterback names being thrown out. You're going to have to work with Aaron Rodgers and his representatives on trying to restructure the contract to facilitate that for the way you want to build your team or the way your team is set up with the salary cap already. It's going to be a lot harder for the trade to get done than it is for Tom Brady to say, hey, I'm going to sign with you. Let's do it. Regardless of where Brady goes or where Aaron Rodgers goes, either one, both, whatever you want to call it, is going to impact the Buccaneers as a team. So obviously you want to have Tom Brady come back and be the quarterback. So that situation is already fixed. But Aaron Rodgers being traded away from Green Bay is going to impact the Buccaneers. And David, I'll get your thoughts on it in a second. But to me, there's really only one move that is going to absolutely impact the Buccaneers, and that is if Aaron Rodgers gets traded to the San Francisco 49ers, because now they are the official powerhouse of the NFC. There's no question to me. An Aaron Rodgers-led 49ers team, that is the top dog in the NFC. If he goes to the AFC, you don't have to worry about him. He is no longer a factor in Buccaneers' minds because he's gone.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. But look, I mean, there's a lot more to dive into about this situation, to be honest with you. There's going to be more news leaking out. Here's what I will tell you. The Green Bay Packers are not leaking out that they're interested in moving Aaron Rodgers unless they've already identified that there's interest in people receiving Aaron Rodgers. So those conversations have already started. Aaron Rodgers is not putting out that he's willing to restructure his deal unless he knows there's a reason for him to need to restructure his deal, i.e. going to a team that doesn't have the most cap space in the world. So these moves are already being discussed. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we know where Aaron Rodgers is playing next year before the Super Bowl.
Interesting. Well, plenty more to dive into as we move through the week. The quarterback conversation for the Buccaneers is not over, and we are going to talk about that coming up tomorrow on a WTSP Wednesday episode. But we want to thank you for making Locked On Bucs your first listen or view of the day. Now make your second listen Locked On NFL. Get daily conversations of the biggest NFL stories, plus in-depth analysis on the biggest games with NFL key predictions every Friday. And on Monday, local insiders cover the weekend with game-to-game episodes. If you have questions, thoughts, ideas, go ahead and send them to the DMs on Twitter at Locked On Bucs or LockedOnBucsPodcast@gmail.com. bucksgameday.com. Check out everything David is doing over at bucksgameday.com. Check out my work over at bucksnation.com and follow everything on Twitter at Locked On Bucs, at JYarcho_Bucks, and at DHarrison82. Hope you all have an absolutely outstanding day. Stay safe, stay healthy, fire the cannons. And we thank you so much for joining us right here at Locked On Bucs.